for coming. These are the kind of opportunities that we really relish because it gives us a chance to get out and meet folks and hear specifically what your area's concerns are, and I hope we have a meaningful exchange. I'm just finished my 8th year in the House of Representatives, my 4th year as House Majority Leader, and that's been quite an experience, been a learning experience. I'm term limited out of the House and running for the Senate this year. Originally I ran because I've always been very active in the community, coached basketball and softball and refereed and was on a number of boards and committees and served about 6 years on the school board, and just wanted to participate at a higher level because I have definite ideas on what I think a legislator should be about. And I think the primary goal of a legislator should be to safeguard and protect our constitutional God-given rights. And I think sometimes we get focused on individual pieces of legislation and we lose track of the big picture. And the big picture is just to keep government out of people's lives. Government should have a very limited function in our lives, and we should recognize that. I hope we get into some of the areas. As mentioned, education and property taxes and how they intertwine. And obviously the property tax will pay for the education. One thing that we've been doing the last couple of years is as we've increased funding for education from the state level, we've reduced the share, the percentage coming from local property taxes. So if we can continue to do that, it will take more and more of the burden off property tax. If not take more of the burden off, at least not add more burden to the property tax system. Currently, the state is picking up 57% of the bill for education. Local school boards are 42%. So we're working in the right direction on that. I think one of the things that will help me be a good senator is simply the experience that I've gained in the 8 years of the House. Bear in mind that we're only in session for 40 days or 35 days a year, and so 8 years, I've finally built relationships with the department heads and the people that are really able to provide service to the constituents. When I get a call from a constituent now versus what I did 8 years ago. 8 years ago, a constituent call, I had no idea where to send them. At least now, I know the right people to put them in contact with, and it's made my job much easier, and I think it's provided a lot better service for my constituents. Thanks again, I look forward to the questions. I will begin by saying zoning can be a dirty word, and it is in certain areas of Meade County. And, but I say that because Meade County, we have a very diverse county. I mean, look at the Piedmont Valley versus the Plains, and part of the problem with zoning is you can't paint this entire district with one brush. And that's why we passed the district zoning bill, which is different than spot zoning, district zoning, to address some of the problems associated with Ellsworth Air Force Base and to provide some tools for places like Piedmont, because there's going to be a lot of growth that takes place continued in Piedmont, especially with them incorporating and developing the sewer and the water. I guess it kind of ties into the next question as far as vision for bringing prosperity to West River, because there's a lot of potential in this area, and the potential is associated with Ellsworth. You know, we were successful in keeping Ellsworth off the closure list, but now that it's open, where do we go from here? And there's some work being done. It's very preliminary at this point, and some things that that very well could spill over into Piedmont Valley and have mutual benefits, some synergies that you might gain, and there's all kinds of possibilities. I wish I could discuss them further, but again, they're very preliminary at this stage. Black Hills Vision, as Dean had mentioned, is an outfit that's already up and running, working on a technology corridor for this area, right through this area. Unlimited possibilities there. Unfortunately, not unlimited time. So, I'd like to say is nothing that anybody said here, including Dennis, according to the question, would indicate that Yes. And the question is, should the legislature do something to protect Bearview? And if the answer is zoning, that's still a local issue. I'm certain that we're not advocating a statewide zoning. And so if it is zoning, we made the state did pass a law again to allow for district zoning. The next thing Tom brought up, the plan that the governor brought forward last year was to buy a perpetual easement, conservation easement on 700 acres of ground, the majority of which was not even in close proximity to the butte. The land that really encroaches is the 40 acres that goes up the side of the butte. And I wouldn't be opposed to the state trying to purchase that 40 acres and add it to the state park. I think that would be a viable solution, and it wouldn't violate the property rights of the people around Bearview. But I do not think it's an issue that beyond that the state should be involved in. I think it's a local issue. They have the tools available to address it. They have looked into it, and they have decided that no further action is necessary or whatever. But at the state level, I've been very opposed to these conservation easements. And that goes into another issue. I think perpetual easements that have no sunset are inherently wrong in the first place. I don't think you should be able to take that right off of that land and hold it for eternity with no responsibility for that right that you hold. One last comment. Our state constitution says that no appropriation shall be made for the benefit of any one religious establishment. And I think it was very clear by the language that was used in the proposal last year that that easement was designed for the benefit of one religious establishment, the Native Americans. Starting back 4 years ago when the governor released the brand board, what happened then was the brand board had met and they had ended the contract with the stock growers. The word got back to the governor that they were receiving a lot of pressure back home and they were going to reconvene and rescind that decision. And the governor sent the highway patrol out to their homes to hand deliver a note that they were no longer on the brand board to keep them from rescinding their decision. So that's what that amounted to. Technically, they weren't fired. There was 5 members of the brand board. The reason 4 of them were let go was because 4 of them were serving on an expired term. Well, that's not to say that what he did was right, but that's what happened. That was, what, 3 years ago when that happened? And Eric Bogue, who was the Senate Majority Leader, and I pulled together a meeting literally at midnight on the night before veto day, and got the governor and the stock growers to the table and come up with compromise legislation, and they got their contract and held it for another 3 years, and then this year. And I think it was, you can see the handwriting on the wall, but the brand board continually made their contract a little less savory every year, and at least to my way of looking at it, it looked like they were had the ultimate goal of taking over the brand board. I didn't agree with it. I didn't think that the stock growers had done anything egregious enough. They'd done an investigation. I saw the report. I didn't see any smoking guns in there that would warrant that kind of action at the time. But that brings us to where we are right now. And I think everybody's kind of, even the stock growers are taking a wait-and-see approach to see how we get through these fall runs, because that will be the true test.